Hey, hello, welcome everyone. I welcome you all in today's lecture. Great. So, as you guys know, as per the name of my session, we're gonna do the recap of Python. So we're gonna cover in two different classes. So it's gonna be the recap one. So we're gonna be covering the things which we have already done in Python on Pandas specifically. So we did a lot of functionalities in Pandas, right? So in this particular session, so we're gonna be taking a quick recap of what all things we have completed in Pandas specifically. So we're gonna be talking about a few of the functionalities. So which we have observed. Yeah, there were some recommendations to do the recap. So we'll do a quick recap of Pandas, what all things we have covered. Great. So I'll be running you through the slide deck. So, and then I'll be talking about specifically on the content front. So whatever we have finished there, so we'll be doing it one by one. So I'll be taking you through that. But again, before starting, so just a quick round of introduction, guys. As you know, my name is Arpit Jain, and I'm a senior data scientist myself. I have almost 9 years of industry experience, and I'm also a motivational speaker. So with this 9 years of industry experience, I've been working as an analyst guy. So purely into analytics. I've started somewhere else, but again, I moved gradually. So I have a good amount of experience there. And then I've been in this 9 years of work experience, I've been involved in multiple domains. So I was involved in a finance sector. So I was working with one of the banks. Then I was in a cloud domain, and then I was in a manufacturing automobile sector. Then right now I'm in telecommunication. So I've been into different domains. You can say that in that per se, and that is how I've been nurturing my profile. And that's the beauty of being a data scientist or data science guy, right? So you're immune to domains, right? So you become the number of opportunities for you actually increases tremendously. Yeah, when I say that you're immune to domain, it does not mean that if you have a domain expertise, so you'll not be, it's a waste. It's not like that, right? For example, if you see that I'm currently in a telecommunication domain, so if my next company is in a telecommunication sector, right, it'll be definitely preferred there, right? Yeah, but again, having been said that, when I say preferred, it does not mean that I am. It's a mandatory requirement for me to be from telecom domain to enter a telecom industry. It's not like that. Okay, so that's more of that sort. So that is how we have to be, and that's the beauty of being into data science. So you can definitely, you open a lot of opportunities for you guys. So if you have anything regarding that, so we can definitely take that up. But again, and I'm a motivational speaker myself, so I've been taking the career mentorships. I've been guiding students toward their career objectives regarding their projects and all that. So yeah, I've been doing that. And the subjects during the course of our study, so we're going to be covering Python, SQL, and PySpark. So we have started with Python. So we have covered quite a lot of things in Python. So we have been talking about a lot of stuff. So we finished functions, lambda functions. We did something on data types like lists, tuples, dictionaries, and then we also were covering something on data science type of Python, so which is pandas specifically. That's where we started, right? So we're going to be taking that. So that is on something which is our objective, and we're going to be doing the recap of whatever things we finished in pandas, so towards the course of our content. So we're going to be talking about that. Great. And then you have this code right in front of your screen, guys, which is Python 10. So with this Python 10, you will be getting a 10% off on your plus subscription. So you can ask me what is a plus subscription. So you'll be having an exclusive benefits there. So you'll be having exclusive memberships, like you'll be able to watch the shows which are exclusive to the plus members, and also multiple shows which are live. So you'll be getting a chance to go through them. So plus all the details are already mentioned, so you can always details and browse through the plus membership, and then you can get to know what are the benefits. But again, if you take this code, so you'll be getting the 10% off on the plus subscription. Cool. Right. So Unacademy has recently launched a new platform, Relevel. Okay. So Relevel is a unique platform where, it actually helps to connect the job seekers to the companies directly. Right. So there are a lot of times where we have observed as an organization that many candidates, they feel like they miss out on the great opportunities or the good opportunity due to multiple reasons. Sometimes they feel that they don't have a good network, they don't have good peers to connect to, they don't have a proper degree. Sometimes they feel that, a top-notch degree from a top-notch university, that's what is the selecting criteria, right? And sometimes also they feel that they are whenever they're applying for jobs, right? So their resumes are not getting shortlisted, right? So that's again one of the major problems where they're applying from maybe a startup or a big company, right? So most of the times I've observed that the resumes are not getting selected. Yeah, that's technically possible because uh, even if you meet all the right criterias, right? Even in that case, you have to understand that along with you, there'll be at least 100 more applicants for the same job, right? Who is also matching the same criteria. So yes, technically it is possible that you'll still not get I mean, even after having everything rightly done, so your resume still not get selected. So shortlisted, right? So that's again one of the major problems which we have observed. And also we feel that there are many of the times the students are applying, the candidates are applying to multiple companies, 50, 60 plus companies, or even maybe 100 plus companies. Still, they are not getting the interview calls, right? So there are a number of reasons, such reasons where we have observed that there's an issue, and candidates feel like they are missing out on the great opportunities. And that's where this Relevel has been introduced by Unacademy. So this is basically the India's first hiring platform, test hiring platform, where the job seekers can actually get connected to the recruiters directly, to the companies directly, and they can get their dream jobs, right? So, and here it's not being biased. It's not like you have to look for something else. Like, it's not because of your degree, it's not because of your peer network. It's purely based on your skills and talent. So you just need to depend up, you're not supposed to be, I mean, you just need to depend upon your I mean, the test which will be going through this particular platform, and you have to just focus on your marks. That's it, right? So the only thing which is required from you at this point of time is you have to focus on what all you have learned. And if you're looking for a particular job in a particular domain, right, or particular field, a particular area of interest of yours, so you have to appear for the test. That's all I'll be talking about in the upcoming slides. So that's what a platform is all about. But the only thing which you have to focus is you have to get the right score. Okay, and I'll be telling about the right score as well. But you have to just focus on your studies and the talent. That's it, on your skill sets, right? So rest everything, you have to you have to relax based after giving your test, and the companies will directly reach out to you, right? So it's not like you are running behind the companies, you're putting up the applications, you're filling up, you're reaching out the recruiters, the HRs. No, you have to just give the test, and that test internally, the scores will be shared with the respective tie-ups organizations, and then they will be contacting you accordingly. Right. So there are certain benefits involved if you are participating in the Relevel test, and some of the good benefits I'll be talking about that. So over 50 plus companies, including the top startups as well as the unicorns like say ENY, Cred, Upgrad, Razorpay, Urban Company, right, and many more such good companies are having the tie-ups with Relevel already, right? So so once you appear for the test, once you have the score handy, right, so your report card will be shared with these organizations by default. And once the right criteria has been met, once the once the qualifying criteria is met, you'll automatically start getting the call. It's not like you're running behind them, right? And again, so there are 1,000 plus job positions across business development, front end development, and back end development. So three of the platforms, three of the profiles, three of the I would say portfolios on which the platform is already live. So these are business development, front end development, and back end development. So, and in these portfolios, we have 1,000 plus open jobs right now from these all tie-up companies, right? So once you start appearing for the test, immediately these 1,000 plus jobs are becoming open for you, right? So once you have the right qualifying criteria of the marks, you'll start getting the calls automatically. And it's a completely online platform, guys, where you can take it from the comfort of your home. So where you can take the test from the comfort of your home, so you can take it from wherever you want. So everything is online. So you're not supposed to go out physically and appear for the test, not like that. So everything is completely online, and it's at your own comfort, right? Right. And the best part right now is, like, guys, this is for free. Okay. So, I mean, your entire test is for free right now. It's a better platform. So yeah, there might be for charges later on, but right now it's completely free. right? And the only thing is you have to finish your entire test in a single day. Okay, so there will be 5 rounds here, so 5 different rounds of test. Okay, and you'll get the details once you sign up in the platform, what all rounds and what questions will be asked, right? So once you appear for the test, depending on your date of choice, right? So you have to complete all the 5 rounds in a single day, right? And once you have finished the test, you will get a score within a week's time, right? And and in this week time, you have to sit back and relax, nothing else. So once you get a score, in fact, you will be updated with your report card, and at the same time, the hiring organizations will also be getting an updates regarding your report card. Okay, so again, you're not supposed to run behind the companies and share the report card, not at all. So your profile, once you sign up with the platforms, you'll be filling up the details, right? So your profile along with the report card will be sent automatically, and the recruiters will start reaching out to you based on your candidature. Right, and the good thing is, guys, the candidates can retake the test right now as many times as they want. But again, the duration for this is will be 30 days. So once you have finished your test, say for example today, and you feel that you want to retake the test again, so you'll be having an option to retake the test only after 30 days of from today, right? So that's what the only thing is. And to get the Relevel profile, so so basically if you want to yourself to stand out from the crowd, right, so you have to score a minimum of 700 max. So the overall score is 4,000, so the test is 4,000 marks. So and the qualifying criteria is 70%, so 700 is the expected scores to meet the Relevel criteria. So once you have met this score, right, and then anything on top of this is anyway a plus, you have to understand that. So that's where you'll be standing out from the crowd. So the only stand out characteristics here is your score, nothing else. Okay, no prior college. The importance of your institution from where you have graduated. No peer network. So it's not dependent on anything else, guys. It's purely dependent on your score. Okay, and so the only expectation from you is to score the best you can. Right, so, and then as I said, 700 is the minimum base criteria to be to qualify for the Relevel as a platform. But again, it's definitely the higher the better. Right, and yes, definitely. So the candidates will also be rewarded with exciting goodies like MacBook, iPhone, and many more such exciting gifts based on the ranks. Okay, so the highest rank holders in a particular month on the Relevel test will be getting such high goodies, right? So you can just imagine. So if you're really skilled enough, so you'll be rewarded in some other ways as well. So the highest ranker in that particular month will be awarded with such good goodies, right? So definitely it's all because of your skill set, so nothing else, right? So and with Relevel, you are in a unique position basically, so to invite interest from companies instead of hunting for opportunities on your own, right? And once you have a great score, guys, you can just sit back and relax, and the companies will reach out to you automatically. You're not supposed to run here and there. As I said, the companies will be reaching out to you based on your score, nothing fancy here. Great, and registering on the Relevel platform is also very much easy, guys. So you will be having the details in the description, right? So the sign up platform, so the website is already there in the description. So once you sign up on this, right, so you can see the list of companies who are basically interested in your score, like Urban Company, Zoomka, Cred, 1MG, Growth, right? So there are many more unicorns as well. So like I talked about ENY and all that. So there are good companies where the Relevel platform has already thrived from. So you can definitely look forward as a good platform for your hiring process. And once you click on this get hired the icon here, right, so you'll be having 3 different options to choose from, right? So right now there are 3 different portfolios that I was talking about. So we have business development, so we have front end development, and we have back end development, right? And then there are basically on these individual portfolios, there are multiple roles available, right? So one of the some of the few popular roles, like under business development, is like sales associate, business development manager, customer engagement associate, and then in front end we have say Angular developer, web developer, React JS or native JS developer, and then in the backend we have data engineers, backend engineers, software engineers, right? So there are multiple roles within a particular portfolio as well, and you must be knowing that already, right? So once you sign up for a particular portfolio, right, so there'll be like a number of jobs, a number of positions getting open to you, right? So for example, and you can see this. So in the business development, we have 500 plus jobs right now. So in this front end development, we have 150 odd jobs. Back end development, we have 350 odd jobs, right? So likewise for individual portfolios, there are multiple open positions from different organizations. So you can just, depending on your interest area, so you can just select any of these, but any of these depending on your interest. So once you select any of these tests, right? So say business development test or a backend development test, the next thing which will be asked from you will be the date on which you want to schedule the test, right? So again, you can choose the date based on your comfort, and again, it'll be based on the availability as well, right? So slots are limited, guys, since it's a beta platform. So I would request you to, if you want to, if you're really willing to take that, so I would suggest you to book it fast. Slots are really limited because it's a beta platform, and here, based on the availability of your date, you'll be getting an option to choose from, right? And once you select the date of your choice, the next thing which will be asked here is to create a neat video resume. Okay, so once you have selected your date, it'll ask you to create a video resume. Okay, and now what a video resume is, guys, right? So it's basically like you have to talk about yourself. You have to talk about yourself in say 30 seconds to say roughly 3 minutes, right? So anything and any duration is fine between this. And then what you have to do is you have to just talk about yourself and what you have done, and maybe your interesting things, your qualification, and why somebody should be looking forward to your profile, right? So it's all something like that. So that is something which I will talk about. So that is where the things are interesting. So you have to create, and you're expect. I mean, that's by default. So if you're going for a video resume, right? So you're expected to be nicely groomed, right? So that's the basic etiquette you can follow with a good background, with a good, it should be nice and neat, right? So you understand that. So you have to create a video resume, and then you have to start recording. So once you start recording from here, it'll automatically record your video. So I think your camera quality should be good. So you know this basic requirements. So once you have done this, you have to just submit your details and confirm your slot. So once you have submit the details and you have confirmed your slot, that's it. So you're just good to go. So you have to just now sit back and prepare for that. You have to be very comfortable towards your date. So whenever your date is, you have to just be timely available for that, and just give the test, and then just sit back and relax for a week. You'll get the response. Right, so do please register for the Relevel platform today, guys. So it's really good, and it's for completely free, right? So you can at least, even if you even for something else, you can at least try to attempt it, right? So you can definitely look forward to this. It's completely free, and you have an option to get connected to the organizations as well, right? Cool. Yeah. So on top of this, as you know, so we also have the official Telegram channel. So where you can just join this space on the link which is available on the YouTube description. So this is a one place stop for you. So you can actually join this, and definitely. So you know this. So you'll have all the updates right in front of your screen. So which is basically a single platform. So again, you will not be, you'll not be expected to run around here and there to just finish up something, right? So it's just like it's a single place stop for all of your things. So whatever shows, whatever thing which is coming live, right, or bring new updates, so you'll be getting it from this channel. So you can you can definitely join this. Right, and yeah, so do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys, if you feel that you're getting benefited from whatever we are discussing. So please feel free to motivate us as well. Cool, great. So we are on the content slide. So so we are going towards the pandas. So we'll be doing a recap of pandas. So it's a recap one session. So we'll try to cover whatever things we have done so far, and we'll try to see how it goes. Cool. Let me open the browser. Right. Just that. Cool. So, right. So now we'll be doing this pandas recap. So you know this. So we have been doing this pandas. So, so this is the very basic and very one of the most important packages which we generally use in data science. You know this, right? And so, I mean, when so pandas is nothing but it's just one odd library. So it's not like when you talk about data science, right? So data science is not Python, and Python is not data science, right? So I mean, definitely. So when you talk about data science, so we can do a lot of things of data science in Python, right? So in Python specifically, we can understand that for data science, like pandas, we have multiple other libraries, right? So pandas is one sort other library which is useful for my day-to-day activity in data science. So when you work on data science, right, there are a lot of things which you do. Like for example, you clean the data, you explore the data, you manipulate the data, right? So there are a lot of things which you do. Correct. So you have to just understand that whenever you're doing such things, right? So it's very important to understand what is needed, right? So I mean, and pandas as a library, it gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of user friendly functions. So you're not supposed to create anything new. So you'll be getting it by default, right? So you'll be getting it by default. So you're not expected to change anything else there. So you'll be just I mean, like for example, suppose you have to load the data and clean it, like a basic description of data, right? So the pandas as it's a wrapper class, it's a library, so it has all the individual functionalities which actually helps you to get these details, these individual functions at your own comfort, right? So you'll not be creating anything new there. So most of the most frequently used functions are already available within your uh, pandas functionality. So that's the beauty of pandas, right? So now, since I said it's a library, so whatever library we're going to use in Python, so you know this. So first you have to install that library in your system, right? So that's the first prerequisite, right? So for installing, you can use anything. So you can use, I mean, whatever IDE you're using. So if you're using, say, Anaconda, so you can go to Conda prompt and use Conda commands to install it. Or even with the simple CMD, we can use using the pip, or in the pip installer in Python, right? Or in fact, you want to use pip in the Jupyter notebook also, you can do that. Like for example, if you have to use this pip install, so this is the command pip install pandas. Simple, right? So if you want to use it, pip in specifically on Jupyter, so you have to give an exclamation mark on top of that. So you just give an exclamation mark before your pandas, I mean your pip command. So it'll be running it through a Jupyter notebook also. Okay. Yeah. So now the important thing is whenever you'll be doing this pip install pandas, right? So there are n number of versions for this specifically pandas. So maybe in fact, let me show it to you. So, and how you can check these versions, guys. So just show it to you. Pandas pip, right? So yeah. So this is the official website, pypy.org. So this is our official website. So you can see this. This is the latest version of Pandas. You can see this 1.3.3 is the latest version of Pandas, which is available right now. Okay. But again, it depends. So I would highly recommend that. So whenever you go for any higher version or the latest version of Pandas or any such libraries, right? So there are high chances that it might not be compatible with your Python version, or it might not be compatible with other library functions, because Pandas is not the only library which you're going to be using, right? You'll be using n number of other libraries as well. So the compatibility has to be there. So it's always advisable to stick to a lower version to have the compatibility issues sorted with other libraries, or maybe the Python versions also. So I mean, right now what I am using, so I am not going to install pandas right now here. So yeah, when once you install this pandas, right? So I'm going to import it. So import is the keyword. So import pandas is my keyword. So pandas is my name of the library. So even if I do simply like this, import pandas, it will still work, right? But if I have to call any of the functionalities from pandas, then I will have to write pandas dot, because it's an object oriented programming, right? So Python is an object oriented programming. So every object, so pandas will become an object here. So every function within my pandas will be an object for this particular thing, right? So every function will be an object. So I have to give a dot, and I have to look out for what function I want to give. So for example, anything, whatever I'm going to give, right? So I just give a tab here. So with a tab, I'll get the list of all the functionalities available. So whatever I'm going to give, right? Say for example, say series. So I'm going to write series like this. So I'm going to create a series element, right? So I have to write this pandas as a keyword altogether. So if I have to call a series function from pandas, so I have to write pandas dot series. So that's the problem here, because pandas, and what if the name of the library is too huge? Pandas is very good, something like that. So it's like, say, 10, 12 characters. So you're going to be writing 10, 12 characters every time, right? So that's time taking, and that could cause errors also, right? So we have a functionality to give it as an alias name. So we can write import pandas as, say, PD or whatever your name. So just like P also is fine. So whatever alias you're gonna give, right? So you can use that. So instead of pandas, I'm gonna be writing, say, PD dot series now. So I've just scribbled it to a shorter version to make it friendly and to make it error free or something like that. Let's say that. Cool. So that's something which is good. And right now, what version I am using in my laptop is 0.24.0. Okay, so you saw that the highest version right now available is 1.3.3, right? So I'm running on a lower version, correct? So I'm running on a 0.24.0. Yeah, and you can ask this is the same question, that why I'm using this low version. I mean, and again, I would say that I have been developing this for quite long, right? So this is where the pandas were like few years back on this version. So I've been using this particular version, and I've been developing my codes in compatibility to this. So it's not like I cannot switch to the higher version. I can any day do that. So if you want to install any particular version, right? So you can give a version also. Like for example, whenever I'm installing, right? So I can do that pip install pandas equal to. So you can give say 0.24.0 for example. So 0.24.0 or say 1.3.2. so whatever version I can give, I can give a user defined function as a version name also as part of my syntax. I can do that. But again, if you ask me this question, why I'm using the lower version, again the answer is to consider the compatibility of my Python and as well as the other libraries. Nothing fancy there. You can, so but if you do not give any version here, right, so by default it'll take the latest one. So by default is the latest one. Cool, guys. And how to check the version? So you have this command. So PD is the alias name. So and then from this version you have underscore at the beginning. So you have 2 underscores here. At the last also you have 2 underscores. Okay, so that's how you check it. So PD underscore version underscore. So that's how you're gonna check it, the version name of your current pandas element. Cool, guys. Great. So that's the basic startup for my pandas. Let's talk about a few of the functions in my pandas. Okay. So we have covered it like this. So we covered it in terms of different data types, right? So in pandas, by default also we have series elements. So we started with series. So what is a series element now? Okay. So in a series is kind of a data type in Python where the data is stored in a single collection of elements, like a vector of elements. Okay. So vector as in, for example, suppose I say that here I'm written, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a collection of certain data points, right? So it's a collection of my elements. So I can say this, yes, this is one of my vectors. So I can call this as a series of elements. Okay. So this is my series data type. Okay. So now to create a series data type in pandas, so we have a function called as series. Okay, so again I have to call it through PD only. So PD dot series is gonna be my keyword. Okay, and then I have a parenthesis. So all of these function will be followed by, guys, a parenthesis. Parenthesis is what? This, my brackets. So by normal brackets, right? So this is called as parenthesis. Okay. So for each of the functions, whether it be a pandas function or any function, so all the function in Python is subscribed by a parenthesis. Okay, so here it started this parenthesis and it is ending here. Okay, so that is how it is. Now under each of these functions we would be having certain arguments as in what these function will be taking input as, right? So what is, I mean, if you want to use this function on, so there has to be some input data to it, right? Or inputs, at least you'll be giving some sort of things to this particular function. So that's how, where we call it as argument, right? So argument is basically where we'll be looking forward to how we're going to provide the details to that function. Okay, and how you can check that. So every function will be having different set of arguments, right? So if the same function, okay, so if similar function basically if all the function is having same argument, so it does not really make sense, right? So a different function will be having different arguments available, correct? So that's how it is. So, and how to check what arguments are available under each of these functions. So it's just like, for example, if you are how to check that. So if you just do a shift and tab, okay. So under the parenthesis, inside the parenthesis, you have to press shift and tab. If you do this, a small dialog box will open in the bottom, right? And you have a small plus here. So if you do a small, we just click on the plus. So this is, you can see the list of arguments which it can take, and it has some default values also, right? So data is my first argument, index is my second argument. So remember guys, order is also important, okay? So my first argument is data, the second argument is index. So likewise, I have certain other arguments, okay? And everything has a default value. So what if I create something like this? So if I don't pass anything, so if I just do pd.series and I don't pass anything, so by default, it has taken all the default values inside my function. And what are the default values? You've already seen this. It is none, right? Nothing. So data is taken as none, index is taken as none. So basically is a none type object, right? So you can see this, it's an empty series which is created. So it will not give an error, okay? Because the arguments has been fed with a default value. If you won't give anything, it will take a default value, which is none, right? So it has created me an empty series here. Now, if you check this, right? So what all argument I was having, right? So I was having data, index, and all wise, right? So the first order is my data, right? So order is, as I said, is very important. So you have to look for the data, look for the order. So I'm here saying that my order of my data, so my data is 1, 2, 3, and 5, 4, and 5. So this is what I want, okay? So this is my first argument. So first argument is basically nothing but a list. So basically a collection of the vectors. This is my data points, which I want to add. And the second element here is my, I would say the index, right? So index. So index again can be anything, guys. So I can give, say A, B, C, my God. I can give A, B, C, D, E, or anything, or I can also give, say 0, 1, 2, anything is fine, right guys? Anything is fine. I can give any index of my choice. In fact, I can give my own name. You saw that, right? So my name was written here. So you can see Arpit, Arpit1. So even this is fine. So if I just run it like this, so by default, it has taken this as my data point and this as my indexes, right? So you can see this Arpit, Arpit1, C, D, and E is my data, right? So what if I have to access the element 2 here? For the element 2, you always know this, for accessing of my elements, you have to use a square bracket, right? It's always a square bracket. So after series, so I'm going to store it. I have to store it somewhere. So I'm going to be storing it as ser is equal to this. And I'm going to be calling. So what is my index here? My index is Arpit1, right? So I'm going to be calling Arpit1. If I do this, I'll be getting the element 2 here. So this is my index of my data point 2, correct? And if I give, say, C here, I'll be getting the Cth content, which is my value 3. And if I give something like, say, Z, which is not there in my index, I'll get an error, because it'll say that this particular, just go to end, you can see this key error is Z, right? You can see this. So that is where it is not able to identify what is Z, what is the index value of Z. That which is giving you an error, right? So fair enough. So nothing fancy here. So this is how I'm going to create my series element. Cool. So now again, important thing to notice, what if I just reverse the order of it? Okay, same thing. So I have this element here, right? So this is my data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my data. And my indexes are Arpit and Arpit1, C, D, E. I'm just going to be reversing the whole content here. Okay, so let's do that. So now the first is, the index values, which was supposed to be an index, Arpit1 and all that. Let's see now what the data is. If I've reversed it, you can see this. Now this has been taken as my data, and the second, which is my index in the order, you can see the order, right? So how you can see the order? Just shift tab. You can see this. The first argument is data by default, and index is my second argument. So by default, it has taken this as my data now. Okay. So this is the reason why it has given as this as my Arpit as a data point. So now if I have to access Arpit, right, so you can have to give 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 as your key element. But again, we know this is wrong, right? So we already know this is incorrect, correct? So this is not right. So what are we supposed to do here? In this case, suppose if this is how you have by default written and you still want to use it likewise, so there is an option to give the argument name also directly in the function. Okay, so what you can do is now you can specifically say that, hey boss, this is not data, this is index. Okay, and take this as data. Okay, so now in this case, when you are explicitly mentioning the argument name, order is not important. Okay, order is only important when you are not specifying the argument name, but if you are specifying the argument name specifically, then in that case you are allowed to use it howsoever way you want. Okay, so now you can see this. Once I have run this, I've specified, okay boss, this is my index, and data is not the first one, data is the second element, second argument. Now it has created it likewise. You see this? So this is how the use of functions, and this is use of my individual arguments inside my data is important. And so this is my data point and this is my index. So once you know this, I think that should not be a major problem. Cool guys. So I think this is pretty much okay. Great. So now there are multiple ways of creating the data also. They're creating the series element. Okay. So now you can use a dictionary element also to create a my specific series. Okay, so now what I've done is I've created a dictionary element, so which is my run kilometer. So day 1, which is my first key, on day 1 this guy has run for 10.01 kilometer, great, and till day 3 it is running, he is running for 15.78, crazy. Can you see this? So this is my dictionary, right? So now I'm passing this entire dictionary on my series element. So and under this series, remember I had the data, index and all this argument. So by default, if I won't give anything, this will be treated as what? This will be treated as my data, right? So under my data, I'm passing this dictionary. Okay. So if you see this dictionary by default, you'll be able to see that it is able to identify this, my key value as my indexes and the values as my data points for the series, right? So now if I have to access, say the third day kilometer, so I have to write day 3. Likewise we do in dictionary also, right? That's what we do in dictionary also, right? So if we use this run kilometer, so inside this run kilometer, just run this also. So if you have to access the third day kilometer, so what do you have to do? We give the key, right? So key will be what? Key will be day 3. So you'll be getting the same data, right? So this is how it is. So exactly what generally happens in the data, if you pass a dictionary as my series element data, so by default the keys will be identified as my indexes and the values as my data points. Cool. So that's how you can also do this. Similarly, you know this by default. So you have the data points here, the same thing. So did you notice? So I have my let me just run this and show it. Cool. Great. So one thing to notice here, guys, so I just added a dot here. Okay, so I did not added a 0 or so I did not add a 1 or something. I just a dot. Okay, so nothing after a dot. So even this dot is considered as a data type. Okay? And you know this. So whenever a data has a decimal or numeric value has a decimal, it is treated as a float value. Right, so it's a float value for me. So you can see this, the data type of my entire data is float, correct? So that's how it is. So you remember it. So always remember this. So we have the data type as float here. Great. So you can use it like this also. And here again, I'm specifying the indexes A, B, and C explicitly. Even if I won't give it, I can still have it. But again, what if I just do a reverse of it here? So B, my bad, then A, and then I'm gonna add C at the end. Can you see this? When I have given an order, so BAC, the same data has been arranged in a BAC order, right? So this is again, if you want to arrange the data also likewise based on the indexes. So as you know this, we can already pass this as my data. So this is my data, right? And the indexes, I can use these keys as to order howsoever way I want to order this or sort, or I mean kind of arrange the data also. Cool. So even if I give this, if I remove say C here from this, right, and if I just give B and A, so the output will be B and A. Although this dictionary has A, B, and C, but I have selected the keys, the indexes which I want to be part of my series. Okay, so this is again a very friendly function, guys. Always handy. Cool. Now similarly, suppose I'm creating a new dictionary S1. Okay, so instead of using A, B, and C here, okay, so A, B, and C as my keys, I'm using X, Y, and Z. Okay, just a new data. Okay, so S1, I'm using this data, the same dictionary as my input. Okay, but in the index I'm passing X, Y, and Z, which are not the keys, right? So now let's see how it is. So if you see this, the important thing to understand is this key is not existing in the dictionary, right? So if that particular key is not present in my dictionary, it will not give an error. It will give the data, but the null data. So NaN basically not a number data type in Python. So not a number is basically a null data, NA data, not available in my Python, right? So that is the reason why if you give the index value which is not present in my data, it will give you a null. So NaN. Cool. And by default, you can see this, the data type is float because the keys and the key and the value pair in the dictionary having a float data type. So by default, it will still be float. Okay. Cool. Yeah, again, example here. So what if ID B, C, D, and A? Okay, so you can see this. So here I'm adding another data type D here, another index D. So you have already the output there. So can you see this? So it has printed the data for B, C, and A where the data are present, but for the Dth index, it has given me a NaN. Cool, nothing fancy. Okay. Up again, there again a standard type. So if we want to use a scalar value, say 10 or say any value like say 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if I run it like this, you can see this. The same data has been repeated 5 times. Okay, so I did not add. So because in the indexes I've written 0, 1, 2, 3, and 5, right? So basically I've 4 is missing. So you can notice this. So there are 5 indexes basically. Okay, so 5 data points. Okay, and I'm writing that series element with the value of 10, right? So 10 basically what? A scalar value. So if I use it like this in this fashion, so it will by default copy or just create the duplicates of my data points on different indexes. So each of these index value will be getting a data value of 10. Cool. So again, interesting thing. Now the another thing is, suppose I want to understand, for example, suppose you have 2 different data points, say 10 and 20. Okay, and you want 10 to be repeated 5 times and 20 to be repeated 10 times, something like that, right? So this is again a use case. Yeah, why not, right? So that's where this comes into picture. Okay, so my first case, now suppose that I'm using a single value here. Now in this case, I'm using a list of my values, so 10 and 20, so 2 different values, and I'm giving the same index. So let's see what will give me as a data. Great. So what has happened here? The first thing is, the most important issue is the length of the values which is passed as 2 here, and the index implies 5. So I'm trying to add the 2 data points 10 and 20 to an index value of 5, which is wrong, definitely, right? So because in that case I'm specifying 2 data, but I'm adding 5 indexes, so that is a mismatch of my length, right? So what was my objective? I wanted to ask that I wanted this 10 to be repeated say 5 times and 20 to be repeated 10 times, so whatever it is, right? Or say 5 times each, right? So I wanted the same data to be behaving like this. So I wanted 10 to be repeated 5 times and then also 20 to be repeated 5 times. So but again this gave me an error. So I wanted to be like that. So how can I do that? Right, so again a good use case. So for this guy, so we have a functionality of repeat. Okay, so for example you can see this. So repeat is a function available within my series object. Okay, so series object itself has certain functionalities, right? So repeat is one of the functions available within my data set, within my series element, right? So let's try to run it and see how the data would be. Right, so if I do this series element pd.series 10, so I'm defining data as 10 and repeating I'm giving it to 5. Okay, so the difference here and here, can you see this? So the difference here is the indexes. Okay, so can you see this? The indexes values is what here I am specifying, right? So I'm here giving the indexing value. So if you use a repeat function, the default indexes will be repeated. So default is my 0, so that's where the indexing starts, right? The default is at 0, so 0 will be by default increasing it to the n number of times I am giving the repeat to. Okay, so that's my single value repeat. And now coming to the next question, so I wanted double value repeat. So I wanted 10 or 20 to be repeated different times. So I wanted 10 to be repeated say 5 times and 20 to be repeated say 2 times. Okay, so if I run it like this, so now you can see this, the 10 is getting repeated 10 times and 20 is getting repeated 2 times. Cool guys, and this is my index 5 and 2. So basically I can see this, the order is again very important. So my first value is 10, so it will take in the repeat function, the first value is 5. So the first value of my data will be repeated at 5 number of times and 20 is the second value, so we'll be repeating as 2 number of times. Right, yeah, and again if you want to reset, so basically if you feel like your indexing is wrong, so you anyway have an option to reset your index, you know this, right? So reset of index, you can always do this. So if we do a reset of index, yeah, drop is equal to true. So basically I'm dropping the original indexing. So if I do it like this, you will get the resetted value of my index, right? So a reset index is anyway possible, so that is not an issue, right? So but again, so the objective here is repeat. So repeat, you can do it for n number of elements also. You can give it the number of time you want to repeat. Cool. So again, nothing fancy here. We talked about the reset index already, so that's pretty much done. So great. So that's something which we have already done, we have already covered. So let's try to understand some more functions available within my series element, right? So we talked about repeat as one of the functions, right? So again, series elements has one of the few more good functions which we have already covered. So we'll be doing a recap of that. So we'll be and how we can check the functions available. So you can just do suppose I've created the data element here, this s, okay, and by this s dot, and if you do a tab, right, so with that, when you press a tab, you'll get the list of all the available functions which you can run on top of my series element. Okay, so there's a list of functions which you can run on top of series element. So we'll be talking about few of those functions which are actually good and I mean which are decent enough. So we'll be talking about that one by one. Great. So here now to understand how to access the data. Cool. So again, the data are accessed by multiple ways, and you know this. Suppose this is my series element, right? So I'll just print the series element, right? So I have given the indexes as 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and my data points as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So, or say just make it reverse to make it handy. So I want to write data is equal to this, and I didn't want to write right, okay. Index is this. Yeah. Index is this. Okay. So now this is my series element, right? So आपको access का पता है? How do we access the data? We access it through the square brackets always, right? So how are we going to do this? So we're going to write s of 3. So for example, simple में access simple करना चाहता हूँ. So can you see this? S of okay, this is giving me an error here. Cool. So if I run s of 3, I'll be able to access the third element by default, right? And you can run the ranges also on top of this. My slicing and dicing we've already covered, right? So slicing again, this range. So basically, this is divided by what? So this is how the range is given. So you have a square bracket. So you have what? Start and then end. So this is how you define the ranges also, right? So I'm gonna writing, say if I write s colon s nothing then colon 3. So basically starting from the first value till the third index, this is what I wanted. So this is what I have. So 10, 20 and 30, right? So starting from my first index, which is my 1, so 10, 20 and 30 will be given here if I slice it through s of nothing colon 3. So if I do a reverse like this, suppose I do 3 of colon, so basically I'm saying that starting from 3 till the end value, what variable it is ending. This is what I'm saying here. So if I do this, I'll get 3, 4 and 5. So starting from 3. So basically, yeah. So when I do this, it's basically take n plus 1. So third index plus 1. So it's like 40 and 50 is what I'll be getting here. Right. Okay. So and indexing, you know this, you have to access the last element as -1. So if we do say s of say -1, so you'll get the last element. So by default, so I mean this is again simple. What is this? Error -1. Error. Check this. Right. So yeah, so I mean, likewise, there are multiple ways of accessing it, right? So I mean, you know, slicing and dicing of the data already, and even you can pass the multiple label indexes. So if you want, say 3 and the 4 to be there, so you have to pass it in a nested list on top of my entire slicing. So if you do this, you'll be getting the exact those indexes value. So I mean, it's like basically a few ways how you iterate the data. Cool. Great, fair enough. So great. So now let's proceed to some of the functionalities which I was talking about, right? So I'm going to create two different series elements. So first series element is having the data points 1, 2, 3, -3, -4, and -5, and the second series 1 is having the my specifically into strings. So basically A, B, C, D, and E is my series 1. So if I type series 1, you can see the data points as A, B, C, D, and E, right? Cool. So the first function available, one of the most important, I would say most frequently used functions available within my series element is like ABS. Okay. So AB is like absolute. Okay. So it returns all positive data points. Okay. So if you run series.abs, so where I have the negative values, yeah, it's expected to give me all the positive values. So basically it'll apply absolute on all of my data points within the series element. Cool. So that's how it is. So this is my absolute data point. The next is my aggregate. So this AGG function, we have covered it multiple places, right? So, but again, so we can write aggregate on top of my series as well. So whatever data points I have, right? So in this aggregate, I can pass on the functions. So inbuilt function, or maybe a lambda function, or maybe your own function. If you can create a def using a def and create your own function, you can pass that also here. So for example, if I do this, I run it like this, so you can see these the functions min, max, and sum, these are inbuilt functions, right? And how you identify that? So these have turned green. Can you see this? So all these have turned green. So if you do it like this, so you should be able to find out the data points min, max, and sum straight away. Cool. Great. So that's how we're going to pass the aggregate function. So you got this. So as I said, in this aggregate function, we can also pass the user-defined functions as well. Like for example, so for example, suppose you created this function, say def sum of 2, and you're going to pass say a comma b as a functions, okay. And then you're going to return say A plus B. Okay, so now you can pass this sum of 2, which is a function basically, right? So this function you can pass in this sum of 2 as your input parameter. Okay, so in your aggregate, so this aggregate is very strong functionality, guys. You can add whatever aggregation you want to perform on your data. It's a user defined aggregation also. It's totally possible. Cool. So that's about my aggregate functionalities, guys. So again, a very good function. So aggregate is used multiple places. So we have been covering aggregates other day on I believe group by, so we'll be taking that. But again, aggregate is a very, very strong functionality, so we can do it at multiple places. Cool. So that's about aggregate. Yeah, the next is append. So append is also a very good functionality. So append is by default means it's concatenating 2 different series. Okay, so I have a series 1 which says this. So I have my multiple elements here, and then on the series 2 I have some other elements, right? So how I'm gonna I'm gonna add, so I'm gonna join these 2 data points. I'm gonna make a single series by appending or by concatenating these 2 different series, right? So that is totally possible, right? So if I print a series 1, so you can see this, I have my data points from 0 to 8th index, all of my data points here, and series 2 is again starting from 0, so there's a new series altogether. So I have 5 elements here, 0 1 2 3 4, so I have the data points also, right? So I'm going to create a new series 3, which is the append of series 1 on top, append of series 2 on top of series 1. So series 1 के ऊपर आप append कर रहे हो series 1 dot append series 2. ठीक है? So basically पहले ये आएगा and then फिर ये आएगा, correct? तो understood है? हम वो देख लेते हैं. So हमारा 8th इंडेक्स तक यहाँ पे सही आ रहा है, and then इसके बाद वापस से एक नया सीरीज चालू हो गया है ना? तो 0 से वापस चालू हो गया ये 0 1 2 3 4. So you are adding a new data point here. So new series here, correct? Append में ये आपने add कर दिया. But now you can see the problem, right? So basically you can see this. So if I have to access say series of 3 of 0, so 0 में बस दो इंडेक्स हैं, एक तो 0 10 भी दिखा रहा है और 0 1 भी दिखा रहा है, correct? That's an issue. So we have to again structure the indexes specifically. So in this case I would say the next thing which you should be doing is basically your reset index. You know this. So we already covered the reset index. So you have a functionality, so you're going to be doing, so on top of series 3 you'll be doing the reset index, and with a drop of true, basically you're dropping the original indexing. Okay, so once you do this, you can see, so after 8 it has just revised it. It has started with 9, so it has just continued the indexing likewise till the 13th element. So now instead of having multiple indices of 0 or whatever indexes which is getting repeated, I'm going to have a single scalar indexes. Cool, guys? But that's again one of the good functionalities, so you can always do that. So yeah, that's what we covered. So we have multiple indexes. 0, that's an issue, we covered that. Great. Now let's take another important function is AsType. Okay, so AsType, so it's basically, so you can see this in this series, so basically it changes the data type of my series. Okay, so if I want to change the data type of my series, so for example you can see this. Okay, so I have certain elements 1 2 3 4 5 20, and then I have A and B as well, which is so this entire thing is my numbers, numeric, int specifically, and this 2 are my strings, right? So now this is an issue. I have a multiple data type here in the data, right? So yeah, I mean some of the odd times we would be needing the entire so entire value, I would say my particular variable to have a single data type. Correct. So in that case, what we can do is we can actually change the data type of my series element itself using the function AsType. So great. So let's try to pass this. So what do you think this should give me here? I'm converting this all data elements 1 2 3 4 5 A B minus 1 to int. So I'm doing series 1 dot AsType, and I'm passing int here. So int basically is this is what the conversion data type I want. Okay. Obviously it'll give me an error, because do you think A and B can be converted into int? That's an error, because if you go to ground, scroll down and try to check this, yes, can you see this? So this is where the problem is. It cannot change the literal a to an int value. That's the problem, right? So it cannot change a to an int element. But again, if you do this into str, yeah, this is possible. So now you can convert this one. So you cannot convert a to int, but you can convert this number to string, right? So now if you check this, so basically this is entirely, so instead of 1, it'll be quotes of 1. So basically it's not 1 here. You can see the object type has changed into string. So you can see the object data type is object. Okay, it's not int anymore. So the elements here are like this. So it's 1. It's not. So this quotes 1 and this 1 is different, right? So this is my string and this is my int. Okay, so this is what it has done here. So basically it is changing my data type of my series element. So again, AsType is used for that. Cool. Great. Great. So again, you have another good function between. Okay, so between is like, so this is between the, so it between takes, yeah, between by default is like it's between two things, right? So that's what we mean between as. So it by default takes two arguments, the left and the right values. Okay, so if we do it like this, so it'll tell you if the values are present as a true or false between that particular indexes or not. Okay, so the values are there between my 2 and the 7th value. Great, so that's why it is. So you can see this, the 1 is not between 2 and 7, that is why it is false. So 2 is between 2 and 7, so it is taking the boundary condition as well by default. So this is true. 3 is between 2 and 7, so this is true. 4 is between 2 and 7, so this is true. And the 5 is also between 2 and 7, so this is true. So but 20 is not between 2 and 7, so this is false. Okay, so basically it's giving you the in the data and the output in the form of a boolean, whether your particular values of that series are between that range or not. Cool. Great. So that's about my between. So you have another function, clip lower and clip upper. Okay, so again a good function, guys. So it's basically to trim the data and basically the outlier treatment. Okay, so now in the data in the data science, we do have issues with the outliers. Okay, so now basically what are outliers? So outliers are nothing but my data points which are not within the normal range of my data. Okay, so I'm gonna trim that. So basically what I'm gonna do is, great, so basically what does this mean? So clip upper and clip lower takes one argument by default, okay, and it takes a value. So basically what I'm saying is, if my series element or if the data points of my series element is above than what the value I'm giving, so say if the data points of the series is above 30, so then in that case replace all the higher values with the value which I'm passing here. Let's check this. So I have my series 1 here, right? So what all values you see above 30? So you can see 40 is the only value which is above 30, right? So now let's see this, how it becomes. So if I run it like this, you can see this 7th index, which was 40, it has been converted into 30 now. So you're clipping it, you're trimming your outliers, your values, which is beyond a certain threshold or certain point, right? So you're just clipping it or moving it into a certain limited value. So that's what you are doing it here. Cool. So that's what my clip upper means. So, and clip lower by default, and just a reverse of that. So what if I run it like this? So I have my series 1 dot say clip lower, right? So and then I'm gonna pass clip lower to what? Say 3, right? So what all data points are less than 3 here? So I have 1, I have 2, and then I have -1 also, correct? So I'm expecting these to be trimmed or clipped to 3. Great. So you can see this. So 0 and the 1 index and the 8th index has been trimmed to 3. So that's my clip lower. Cool, great. So, and then you have a correlation function. So correlation, it's basically to identify the correlation between my two series. But again, we'll be covering that in the stats part. So you'll need to understand what is correlation first, right? So again, a good function. So, and then you have cumulative sum and cumulative prod. So basically cumulative sum, you can see this. So cumulative sum is like adding up my, the summing up all the elements, right? So let's see this. So just check cum sum first. So if you see this, so it'll keep on adding the elements in my series. So like first is my 1, the second is like 1 plus 2, which is 3, third is my 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, and then this 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, so basically it is 10, and then 15 likewise. So cumulative sum. So likewise, if we do a cumulative prod, it will keep on cumulatively multiplying your individual elements. So it's like 1, and then 1 cross 2, and then 1 cross 2 cross 3, and then 1 cross 2 cross 3 cross 4. So likewise, it'll go ahead. Cool, guys. So that's how it is. Great. So yeah, so after cumulative sum and cumulative prod, guys, we have another function called as describe. Okay, so describe is again it's again a very good function. In fact, describe has its usage multiple places. So you remember we were talking about data frames also some other day. So data frames made to describe is very good, very important. And likewise, describe, we also have it in series element. Okay, so and by default, the series has certain characteristics. So data describe as a function has certain characteristics which will be printing. So you have count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25th percentile, likewise. So there are certain statistics which you see that which are the most prominent statistical features of my data. It will be getting printed by default. Okay, so once you do a describe function here, right, so your description of your data points will be given by default. So you'll be getting those details directly by the describe function. Okay, and likewise we have drop, duplicates, we have drop NA, we have fill NA, we have is NA, we have max, min, pop, right? So basically say drop, you know this. So basically you're dropping a particular element of my series. So you can drop say 2, drop say 4, drop say 20. So you're going to drop a particular element. So that's how we're going to do it. So you can do it both by indexes or by labels. You can say, you can give index is equal to 2. So it'll be dropping the data point where, what data point, which is at index value 2. Correct. So even if you want to give a direct label also, you can give the data point itself. So drop label 20. So for example, I don't know the index of it, so you can drop it either ways. And then drop duplicate. So you want the it's a good function. So it'll drop the duplicated value. So I have, for example, you can see this. I have 22 times, right? So this will drop the particular one of the 20 values and return the entire series for me. Drop NA, basically drop the missing data point if you have any. Fill NA, if you want to fill that missing data with something. So if you want to fill it with say 0 value or 10 value, whatever value you want to pass, so you can fill the missing data based on your choice. And fill NA is more used towards your data frame computation, so we'll be talking about that. Great. So again, the statistical measures. So remember, so in the describe, we were getting max, min, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and all that. So you can run it separately also. So you can do just series.max or series.min or series.mean. So you'll be getting those statistical data points right away on your screen. So once you run that. Cool. So yeah. Great. So again, yeah, and again, good functionalities here. So you can convert, you can change the data types of the elements itself. So for example, suppose I have a series element, so which is right there on the screen, right? So if you want to convert these series into the list of elements, right? So you can convert the series element into the list element. So using this functionality to list, okay? So just use this function. So series on top of that, you can just write to list. If you do that, you can get the same data point converted into the list element. Likewise, if you do it to frame basically you're converting into the data frame. So you can do that also. Cool. So that's about my series, guys. So I believe that's something which is more towards my series. So what all we have covered here. So just again, I'm gonna quickly run through this what all things we have covered. So we started with how to install pandas and the versions of it. So you know how to install pandas and the version. So you can choose whatever version you want. But again, whatever version you'll be choosing, you have to make sure that it is compatible with your Python version, also with your other libraries which you are using. Okay. So if you have any, interjection. Then we studied about how to create the series as, right? So different ways of creating the series using the series function, multiple arguments, data, index, ordering of it, when it is required, when ordering is not required, and all that. So, and then we covered through dictionary. So we know that the keys are taken as my specific input indexes. So once I use this, so this keys will be my index and the values will be my data points. Correct. So that's what we did. And the indexing is very important. So if the index is not there in the dictionaries, it will be marked as a null data points. And you also understood how to reset the index. So you know this. So once you have this, you have the value reset index. So if you use reset index, you can reset your indexes as well. So accessing the data, square brackets, you can use whatever slicing you want from whatever index. The order remains the same, start colon end. So starting index value and the end index value. And also you can give the multi-level index. So you can pass the exact index number in index names also to get the data. Some functions. So we talked about absolute, we talked about aggregate, right? So aggregate you can pass a user defined function also, like if you created any new function, you can do that. Append basically concatenating two different series, right? So you know this. And then we talked about my AsType. So we can convert the data type of my series element. So we can do that. So yeah, you have to be very sure of what you're converting. So you cannot convert number to a string. String to a number, but number to string is possible. So and then at the same time between. So and then you have clip upper, clip lower. You have cumulative sum. You have describe. We talked about drop NA. We talked about toList and all that. Great. So that's all we have covered. So we're going to be resting a recap session for series this time. So we in the recap 2, we're going to be covering data frames, guys. Cool. Great. Thank you so much, guys. And I'm going to stop for the day. So we'll be doing